The Shooting Range. In this episode, pages of history, an anti-tank AA gun's fate, Squadmates, conquering the new map, and Metal Beasts, a fire-and-forget chopper. Now that we've seen some exciting new ground vehicles and planes, it's time to check out a new helicopter. The Israeli tech tree just happens to have received an interesting modification of a legendary machine, a strike version of the famous workhorse, the Black Hawk. Please welcome the AH-60 Battle Hawk. The first way one can use rotorcraft in mixed battles is to deliver rocket strikes. The Battle Hawk offers blocks of classic 70mm Hydras for this purpose. Thanks to a ballistic computer that shows where the ordnance will hit, you can send those rockets galore. The difficulty lies elsewhere. Sometimes even fast and maneuverable attack helicopters with hundreds of kilos of armor can't sustain heavy fire, and this chopper is nowhere near that. Its size is pretty impressive, which is expected if you remember what the base model was made for, but it also makes the helicopter a priority target and easy prey for any ground vehicle with a roof-mounted machine gun. An alternative tactic would be to employ guided missiles at long range. In this case, the Hawk's onboard devices lend a helping hand. Its aiming complex offers great zoom and even thermals on par with other helis in this class. All it's missing is a radar, but that's a top-rank luxury. On the other hand, the Battle Hawk can offer something other helis, including the American AH-60, don't have. It can fill all its 4 hardpoints with the Spike missiles. Yeah, it's the one people call fire and forget. Forget that you fired, because they're very slow and a hit takes forever at long range. All of this is true, but still, these 16 missiles make the Battle Hawk the best helicopter for suppressing enemy AA. It can even damage morale. Just peek out of cover, send as many missiles as you can, and lower again to hide from counterattacks. Rinse and repeat until you're empty, then simply go for a reload. You can send a fresh batch of missiles before the last group you sent arrives at its destination. Of course, experienced AA gunners can intercept missiles, but not 16 in a row, right? The only way to avoid this kind of destruction wave is to hide. And what's the point of an anti-aircraft gun if it's hiding? Besides, this chopper can still use the classic Hellfire missiles. They bring enough explosives to damage armored targets with pretty much any hit, and you can also combine them with the spikes. Such a loadout can turn the Battle Hawk into a versatile hunter after AA guns and tanks. Engineers and militaries of the world appreciated the capabilities of large-caliber anti-aircraft guns back in the first half of the 20th century. To keep the skies free of bombers, the Americans paired the Stratosphere 120mm gun M1 with the 90mm M2. The Germans created the Flak 36, while the Soviet Army relied on 85 and 76mm cannons. After the war, the USSR began work on switching to new calibers, 130, 100, and 57mm. The latter was developed to be future-proof, aiming at the forecast performance of emerging jet aircraft. A major part of engineering time was spent on improving the efficiency and reaction time of the crew. One of the results was a new fire control system for the autocannon. Additionally, the designers created a way to connect anti-air guns with the Grom-2 radar stations in the late 1940s. The resulting new gun was designated S-60 and accepted into service. The only thing hindering its overall performance was its tow platform. Marching forces needed a more mobile AA defense, preferably self-propelled, and thus another project was born, designated Object 500. To improve its rate of fire, they combined 2 S-60 cannons with mirrored controls and called the resulting gun the S-68. It was then installed into an open combat compartment based on a lightweight T-54 chassis. The ZSU-57-2 SPAAG turned out to be pretty mobile, but its efficiency relied on the skill of the crew and, frankly speaking, on luck as well. The ZSU-57-2 and the S-60 were supposed to be able to suppress any aerial threat up to 6 kilometers away, which is twice the range of 37mm guns. Reality, however, adjusted the expectations. In the mid-1950s, subsonic aircraft entered the ranks, and going supersonic stopped being an impossible dream. It was only logical to speed up the upgrades to SAMs. And while the original S-60 cannon managed to keep its place in the Army thanks to its radar integration, the ZSU-57-2 saw its purpose become obsolete in a blink. So in the 1960s, the Soviet Union began selling them to its allies. Poland and Hungary naturally got some, as well as neutral Finland, Vietnam, and some nations in the Middle East. It was the Vietnam War and the Arab-Israeli conflicts where the ZSU-57-2 passed its baptism by fire. While it never offered anything impressive in its original intended use, the SBA-AG was often used as a tank or as a kind of improvised assault gun. Its caliber and rate of fire provided excellent firepower. Thus, the project got its second life. In the 1980s, China developed their own variant after a request from Iraq, the WZ-305. In the 2000s, Russia continued experimenting with the S-60 cannon, installing it onto various platforms like the PT-76 light tank, and designing a whole new close-range anti-air vehicle, the 2S-38 Derivatsiya. Even half a century after its conception, the S-60 remains a popular system. This proves that a thoroughly developed design helps anti-aircraft artillery stay relevant even when the world enters the era of advanced missiles. The new location has only been added recently, but our squad mates are ready to visit it and offer some tactics, main directions, comfy positions, and firing lines. So let's support the tradition. Today we're going to picturesque North Holland. You might have noticed that our squad mates always choose the 3 strategic areas mode that covers most of the map and requires more activity. The new map offers 2 domination versions, so we'll demonstrate one scenario for each of them today. The tactics and firing lines we'll cover work for both teams. First, let's check out the version that places all capture points on one side of the canal. Right after spawn, you should split up. One player needs to head towards the hills and square C2. This place overlooks all the bypass directions in the west. Take a few shots at spotted vehicles, then go down to the town and move towards the embankment. By that time, the other player should have already crossed the canal and should now be next to the bridge in square D5. Their squad mate needs to fortify near a small hill in square D4 to get a great view of both the canal and the central area with the mall and point B. The player on the eastern side is responsible for attacking enemies that advance towards the central point. To do this, they might need to leave the bridge position and drive along the canal. This area offers no cover, so it's a good idea to get back to the shelter after a few shots. If you manage to thin out incoming forces, you'll help your allies and your squad mate in gaining control over the second strategic area. Once it's painted blue, both of you can return to your positions for defense. Another domination variant has points on both sides of the canal and offers a larger map, which you can use to your advantage. Pick different spawn points and head towards the central area, each of you on your own. The western player can cross the canal bed to shorten the road and avoid enemy fire. Now you can attack point B from opposite sides and meet enemy forces with crossfire. Once it's captured, you can focus your attention on the western side. While the canal hinders your movement, it's still easier to take points A and B because they're closer to each other. One of the players can remain on the eastern side and provide cover, while their friend can carefully cross the waterway and attack point A. You can support them without leaving the eastern side since numerous narrow streets make for great firing lines. And now, all you do is defend. Keep each other in the field of view and don't act too greedy when you can expose an enemy's side for your squad mate. Share your own tips and tricks in the comments. Meanwhile, we'll answer some of the questions you asked us in previous episodes. The first question was sent by a player called Zui. What do the colors of the missiles or bombs in secondary weapons mean? Hello, it's just there to help you tell apart their calibers and performance. Apollo 1056 asks, What's the best strategy for the Type 61 and the STA-3? Hi, Apollo. Their main advantage is high firepower. When you drive one of these vehicles, don't forget to switch between capped and high explosive rounds. And here's another tip. Don't rely on their armor. It won't hold a good punch. Another question comes from the Lone Wolf. What are some good weapons loadouts for the F-16C, specifically the US version? Hey, Lone Wolf. It's truly a very versatile aircraft. There are so many loadouts for it, we can't really fit them into a single reply. But we do have a few episodes of the shooting range dedicated to the F-16. Check them out when you have a chance. Yazan Al-Hawartha writes, what's the better tank, the IS-6 or the IS-3? Hi, it's a hard pick because these tanks shine in different scenarios. The IS-6 is much faster and can be similar to a medium tank. The IS-3 offers better protection, so it's a better choice for pushing enemy defenses. And the last comment for today was written by Davids Buana. Why does the fuel tank under the MiG-29 have a hole going through it? Hey, Davids! This hole is there for the hot exhaust gases coming from the aircraft's auxiliary power supply. If you remove the drop tank, you can see the exhaust itself. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget about your spikes. Leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.